Hi guys, it's AZ from Canada. I completely shocked how people explain compression. If you think just ratio defines how much you compress, it's complete nonsense. I'm gonna give you probably the best explanation what compressor really does in many different ways. This is one of the best audio production and mixing courses. After 11 years of teaching, I fully updated it. Each week I create 100 minutes lesson, 10 minutes is for free, which goes on my channel, and 100 minutes version you can buy. Subscribe and learn for free from those 10 minutes videos. Use the list of these videos to understand what full lessons you can buy and do it each week. You can see on the screen right now 145 5-stars reviews verified by the Google, by the phone, and real emails of real people. Even from this print screen you can see people say it's outstanding or game changer, so check it out. How the system works, how to buy full lessons, read the description or the first pinned comment. This is common mistake what a lot of people make. They just claim that amount of compression depends on the ratio. That's it. It's complete nonsense. Let me show you in example and the statement. So saying ratio defines the amount of compression is kind of wrong. Even though it makes little sense, but I'm gonna explain. Absolutely the best compressor to learn compression is this old-fashioned Renaissance compressor by Waves. I started working with audio in 2000, and if you from that period of time, you absolutely remember this compressor. It was used everywhere by everybody for 2 decades, you know what I mean? So for now, let's not use automatic release control. We're not gonna use extra coloration. We're gonna use electro mode, which is VCA, is the most typical compressor mode. Let's not touch attack and release for a second, and I'm gonna give you a definition what actually ratio does in reality. Ratio is intention of a compressor, of how much it wants to do. I'm gonna give you associative example, and I'm gonna support with the example from a real compressor from DW. So let me show you this example. Imagine there is a boxer, a guy who wants to be a champion of the world. He wants to train, he goes to the gym every day. For practicing, he has a coach. This guy goes to the gym and there is a coach. This coach, let's say today, boxer has very low intention. He has hangover. Yesterday was a party and he has very low intention to work. He simply doesn't want to do anything, maybe a little bit, so his intention 2-to-1 only, very low intention. But threshold is the coach. No matter how low intention you have, you can create a lot of work if the coach forces you. So the coach puts so low threshold and he says, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you today, you're gonna be working so much because I also want to be a coach of the champion of the world. And even though intention is very low, ratio is intention. Because of very huge push by the threshold, you're gonna have a lot of work done. 12 dB of compression, it's over compression basically, you know what I mean? Instrument becomes much quieter, a lot of job, a lot of work was done by this compressor. Threshold was low, which means a lot of force was applied to this boxer. Boxer was pushed to the limit and a lot of job was done, like this. Another example, this boxer has still hangover, don't want to work today at all, saying maybe tomorrow, let's not really work too much today. And the coach also has maybe some things to do at home, maybe like to pay mortgage or prepare taxes or something. Maybe coach was watching some video of Andrew Zeleno and thinking about compression settings and like really into it right now, like really want to figure out everything. So the coach has no time really to pay attention to the boxer, you know. So no force means threshold is high. Maybe just set something to the boxer. Maybe go there to the heavy bag, work a bit for 5 minutes maybe. This is amount of work was done. See, almost nothing. On the very next day, boxer comes to the coach and say, that's it, I cannot wait anymore, I want to be a champion of the world, that's it, this is my goal, this is the main goal of my life. Intention of this boxer, like crazy, maybe 50-to-1. This boxer says, that's it, I'm completely ready to be the best, I'm gonna put all effort I can for this, you know. So ratio is so high, 50-to-1. But the coach still busy with the video of Andrew Zeleno and doesn't want to pay attention to the boxer because this coach, music producer at home doing some beats and want to figure out all this in compression, right? So still threshold pretty high, no force. And even though intention of the boxer 50-to-1, this is how much work you will do. still only 1 dB. And fourth case is when boxer the next day, very high intention, still 50-1. I want to be a champion of the world, And coach says, absolutely, I want to be a coach of the champion of the world. We need to make a lot of money by this and let's push to the limit, and put so much force on this boxer that combination of 50-1 and very huge force of the threshold like this make 12 and maybe even a little bit more, because ratio of course influences the amount of compression. I never said ratio absolutely useless. 50-1 of course more aggressive than 2-1, because 50-1 is more intention than 2-1, and you're gonna get even more work, but let's be honest, it still will be depending on the force. When it was 2-1 and huge force, we still had more than 12 dB. Now we have the same force, but very high ratio, and we have 12, but even more, 3 extra decibels. So a lot of work was done. Sort of you're chasing after something like crazy. It's amount of force, amount of job you put in it, And if you have extra natural talent to it, you're gonna get even more, a bit more, But anyway, by 90%, it's not about talent, it's about how much work you put in something you're trying to achieve. Difference between 50-1, 4-1, 2-1, definitely there. It increases your compression a bit and decreases your compression a bit. But the main amount of compression coming from the threshold. So if you want 10 dB of compression, my suggestion not to set up threshold somewhere and then just adjust ratio back and forth. Do it like all classic audio engineers like Chris Rodelgi, Andy Wallace, who prefer special ratio. For example, Chris Rodelgi put 4-1 on 1176. That's it. It's his fixed amount of compression, not too soft, but not too aggressive. And then you just rotate the input on 1176, which is roughly the threshold, because on 1176 it's a fixed threshold compressor. But it's basically the same. You put peaks above the threshold. And how high really defines how much you compress. If you're the guy who wants mathematics, this is the scale, it's 0. This is the bottom. Threshold stays at the level minus 10 dB. Peak goes to the level minus 6. So 4 dB difference from here. 4 dB above the threshold. Your threshold is 2-1. After compression, theoretically, again, this picture is bullshit because it doesn't take into consideration soft knee attack, release, residual compression, and everything like this. But if you insist on this pure mathematics, which is just beginner style of understanding of compression, you 4 dB above the threshold. 2-1 means eventually peak will be lowered down 2 times. So it will be 2 dB above the threshold. Level was minus 6, it will become minus 8. If you apply, let's say, 10-1, very high ratios, for people who believe that ratio defines amount of compression, 10-1 should give you much more compression than 2-1. So you apply 10-1, now it will be decreased 10 times. Instead of 4 dB above the threshold, it would be just little peak over here. But in the context of music production and levels of the notes, this peak, probably the loudest peak of this note, and in your note, let's say 100 peaks, only one peak out of those will be decreased from minus 6 to minus 9. Or to minus even 9.5, who cares? It's only one peak, all other peaks will be, let's say, below the threshold or not too much above the threshold. They will be almost untouched. Eventually, this note will not take much more compression, just because of your increased ratio. If you drop down the threshold, and your threshold will be not minus 10, but let's say minus 30, all these peaks will be so high above the threshold, and even 2-1 when you decrease this peak 2 times, and so many peaks actually above the threshold, they all will be decreased because of low threshold. You're gonna get so much compression even with 2-1. So threshold defines, not ratio. Ratio adds up something and has main context, how aggressive your compressor is. Softening by 2-1 or squashing by 20-1. But anyway, main point is threshold is the king of definition of how much you compress. How to buy any full lesson, read the description and in the first pinned comment. Meters, we're gonna compare RMS versus loose versus VU. There is sort of a bug with loose meters, and if you don't know it, you all the time measure your levels incorrectly. Goals of compressor, you wouldn't believe what you can find out from just a list of the goals of a compressor. We're gonna learn disadvantages of a compressor. People always claim compressor do something something better to your sound, but I'm gonna explain disadvantages of a compressor. Only understanding these advantages, you finally know how to use it properly. We're gonna discuss people like Schmidt, who completely against compression, and what people don't understand when they criticize compression.